Okay, Rabbi Sai, this shir is sponsored by our friend Netano Friedberg, Leilu Nishmasa of his grandmother Malka Bat Menachem. May our neshama have an aliyah through our learning. Tiyanavsha through B'Sura Chaim. So, as you guys know, I'm traveling. I'm going to go see my parents next week, so I won't be around for a couple of weeks. So I decided instead of starting a total new subject, I just want to finish off a couple of things. It's not a repeat at all of anything we've done before, but it's actually quite fascinating. So, whatever you decide, let's say you decide that brain death is death. Or a guy who's 100% dead, no question. His heart, his lung, breathing, nothing is working. Okay, and now there is a recipient who needs an organ. He needs a kidney, a liver, whatever it may be. Again, the patient, the donor is for sure dead. He's going to be for sure dead. So can you take it? Can you take it? So at first glance, you would say, of course you could take it. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're trying to get here. We're trying to get the heart from A to B. We're trying to get the kidney from A to B. We want to save B's life. But you'll say, oh, wait a minute. You say, wait a minute. There are a lot of averas when you take an organ from A. What averas are there? Well, you're not burying A. You have to bury A. You are mutilating A in a sense.
But it's still alive. Is he still alive?
No, we're going if A is the short dead. We're going now if A is the short dead.
So
What?
now the question is, you're taking body parts of a dead body?
Right. A is the short dead. That's it. A is the short dead. So, you already know a lot of averas. What averas? One is, you're not, like the doctor mentioned, you're not burying him. Bizayin hameis, nivel hameis, isser hana. You don't have hana from a dead person. So all of these things are quite severe, and they're all psukim in the Torah, basically. We once gave a shir about it, maybe a year ago, about each one of the isurim. You have to bury. You can't mutilate a dead person. Nivel hameis. You can't mevazeh. You can't desecrate a dead person. You can't have enough from a dead person. So
That person is here.
So seemingly there are a lot of issues. But what are you going to say? You're right. A lot of issues taken from a dead person. But to save B, which is bikuach nefesh, so that trumps everything.
No, one over 4 averas?
We want to. You can do 610 averas. We know that bikuach nefesh is doche every single avera out there, except for the 3 cardinal sins. So seemingly it's quite simple that, you do 4 averas when you take the limb from A and putting it into B, but so what? Just like Pekuach Nefesh is docha Shabbos, and Pekuach Nefesh is docha any other avera, so it seems to be a pretty open and shut case, quite clear. You take the limb out and you put it into B, because Pekuach Nefesh is docha any type of avera, except for the 3 cardinal sins. That's what it would seem. Okay. And that's what we do, right? Oh, but the question is, do you need permission? Do you need permission from the relatives or from the dead person? So Shammai, being as acute as he is, and with great acumen, says, how are you going to ask permission from a dead person? Right? Okay, we'll talk about that. But right? Oh, there you go. So, do you need permission from the relatives or do you need permission from the dead person? Right? So, seemingly you say, what do you mean? You don't need any permission. It's Pekuach Nefesh. Pekuach Nefesh is doicha every single avera. The doctor should just summarily take out the limb, put in B. It makes no difference if the dead person is protesting. It makes no difference if the relative is protesting. Pekuach Nefesh is doicha everything. That's what it would seem at first blush. That's what it would seem at first glance. But we're going to see that this is actually far, far from simple. And in actuality, it's not that way. Oh. So what is this all about? It is true that there is a halacha called v'chai behem. V'chai behem. Pekuach nefesh is doche every single avera. Mechal Shabbos, you eat chazir, treif, v'kuch nefesh. It's docha every single avera. There's no question about that. But the question that we have to deal with is, okay, that's God. God is saying to Klal Yisrael, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. I want you to be over on 610 averos in order to stay alive. Fine. But who says that another person has to sacrifice to save the person who needs saving, right? Basically, we already spoke about this in other shiurim, but basically, yes, there is a law called lois tam adam recha. There is a law you have to save your friend. You have to save your friend. But the question is, at what cost? Okay, my friend is drowning. Do I have to give him all my money?
No, you have
do I have to?
You have a share on this.
Do I have to endure tremendous pain to save him? Do I have to endure tremendous embarrassment tremendous embarrassment to save him? How much does a person have to endure to save his friend? Yes, there's a law of the Torah. Lo sam adam riyecha. That's right. But how much? And to what extent? Oh. So the truth is, we spoke about this once in length. I don't want to go into the whole thing. We know what the prototype is. We know that by every lav, what is the law? By every regular lav, eating chazer. A guy puts a gun to your head and says, you better eat chazer, or I'm going to take all your money. That's a choice. Eat chazer, or I'm going to take all your money. We know for a lav, you have to give up all your money. We know for a lav, you have to give up all your money. The guy puts a gun to your head. Eat chazer, or I'm going to take all your money. We know you have to give up all your money for lav.
There.
Right? That's the law. That's the law. So, how would we look at lois saman al dam riyecha? How would we look at it? You could say, on one hand, well, if you got to give up all your money not to eat chazer, certainly got to give all your money to save your friend, right? You certainly got to give up all your money to save your friend. Or you could go the other way. No, not to eat chazer is between. It's ben adam l'chakam. Over here we're talking about ben adam l'chaver. Maybe, I got to get all my money to not eat chazer because I'll be displeasing God. But ben adam l'chaver, right? Maybe I don't got to give all my money. We could talk all different types of stories. We could say, eating chazer is kum v'aseh. If I eat the chazer, it means I actually actively eat it. So maybe they are fit to give up all my money. But to see my friend drowning, won't be doing something, right? The stars are endless. The stars are endless. The Chafetz Chaim paskins straight up, you have to give up all your money to save someone's life. All your money. He says it's definitely no worse than a regular lav. He says, if you got to give all your money not to eat chazer, you have to give your money to save someone's life. That's what he paskins. Like I said, it's not so simple. On one hand, you can say, well, what do you mean? Eating chazer is going against God. Who says I got to give all my money to save a friend? It's a ben adam l'chaver. You go the other way. Who said I have to, by not saving my friend, was just being passive? Or you go the other way. No, maybe give up even more than all your money because it's saving someone's life. There's nothing more important than someone's life. You can go anyway. There's all different types of stars. We can sit here all day going back and forth. The bottom line is the Chafetz Chaim famously paskins, and the Moshe Feinstein famously paskins, you have to give up your life. You have to give up all your money. You have to give up all your money to save your friend. Now, this actually leads to a little bit of an absurd situation. It comes out if a sick guy knocks on a rich guy's door and says, I need an operation tomorrow. I need $1 million. It comes out basically the rich guy has to give the guy all the $1 million. That is the simple halacha. The simple halacha, he has to give everything. Because hey, lo yisam adam riyecha, rich man, you got to save your friend. $1 million is going to save your friend's life. Give him all the $1 million. Lo yisam adam riyecha. It's not like stucco, we only have to give a fifth. The Chafetz Chaim says it's black and white. It's not like stucco, you only have to give a fifth. You got to give all the money. But that's an absurd situation. So every sick person will just knock on a rich guy's door. So Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach tries to get out of it a little bit. No, yes, in principle, yes, you have to give up all your money, but it's not since it's a community issue, so basically the obligation falls on the whole entire community. So the rich guy could say, yeah, there's always some dam recha on me, but there's also on all the other rich people in town, so go to them too. But is that right? Is that wrong? And let's say all the other people in town don't want to give the money.
But he has to give
They're yeah, something for sure, of course, something. But the sick guy says, listen, the sick guy says, I need to go to the operation tomorrow. I got no time to go around to all the other rich people. Or let's say all the other people don't want to give the money. So Shlomo Zalman is really not too sure about this. He's like, in principle, the rich guy's got to pay for everything. In principle, that's what it should be. Because that's it. Just like you can't eat chazer, you got to give up all your money. So you got to save your friend's life. It's the same law. It's a law and a law. Again, he tries to get out of it somehow or other because he doesn't want it to be that way, obviously. He wants it to fall on the whole community. But listen, hey, someone's drowning. You got to save him. What about if there are two people there? So what, you save half and he saves half? You got the same, how does that work exactly? He has a whole shtickle about this. But in principle, we're going now that at least Lo Yisam Adam Recha is at least on the same level of a regular lav. That's where we're going now. That's where Moshe Paskins. Again, it's not so simple, but that's where he's going. Okay, fine. So what would you say about you got to give up all your money? You got to give all your money. Lo Yisam Adam Recha. But do you have to endure extreme embarrassment to save your friend? We can ask the same question. Do you have to endure extreme embarrassment to eat chazer? Let's say you have a situation as I'm going to eat chazer, or if I don't eat the chazer, I'll endure extreme embarrassment. You get the same question there. Okay. So again, like I said, the svaras are endless. But Rav Shlomo Kluger, the famous Rav Shlomo Kluger, has an open Gemara about this. Because that's what we need. We need an open Gemara about this type of situation. Because you can have all different types of svaras to say it's worse than a regular lav, it's better than a regular lav. Oh, what's the open Gemara? So there's a Gemara here in Sanhedrin. A little bit of a crazy story. There was a story of a man, shenasan eina be'isha achas. That's the first mistake. He was looking at the women, and he fell madly in love. He was love struck with a woman. Okay, so you go on with life, right? Put some ice on it. No. Hello, by Tina. He got so sick that he was on his deathbed. He loved her to death. Right? That's what the story. The guy was going to die. Fine. Very sad. They went to the doctors. The doctors, well, what should we do? They said, this guy is going to die unless he actually lives with her. Unless they live together. That was the only way to get him. That was the only way to save this guy's life. Okay. So what would he posket? We got to save this guy. We got to save this guy. This guy's on his deathbed. He's such a romantic. What's up? Chacham said, let him die. Let him die. Right? He can die while serenading her. Let him die. So they said, the doctor said, you know what? Tam on the front of Aruma. Maybe she stands in front of him unclothed. Maybe that will calm him down a little bit and he won't die. So they said, okay, we won't make the lady live with him. But let her just stand there unclothed, unclad. Yamazah Tamazah. The rabbi said, no, let him die. Fine? To sapi together. He said, you know what, fine. We got to save this guy. Let her just talk to him. Just talk to him, a conversation. And they won't even see each other. She'll be behind some type of mechitza, and maybe she'll say some vatayr with him or something. Maybe that will keep him alive. Something. He's so enamored with her. He's so taken up with her. Something. What did the rabbi say? Yomas lights up your money. Let him die. Let him die. Okay, that's the story, right? And the guy died. Okay? On a tombstone, here lies the guy who loved to death. Here, that's it. That's the way he is. Okay, so now, the Gemara says, what is the story? Who was this lady that he was so in love with, so enamored with, so taken up with? So one man says it was an Eishes Ish. Okay. Oh, Eishes Ish! Okay, you hear a little bit, you're starting off with Eishes over here. They said, you can't live with her, she can't stand unclothed, she can't even talk to you. Okay. One man there says, no, she was an unmarried lady, a pnuya. The girl that this guy was so struck with, was not even married. She was a pnuya available on the market in Shidduchim. So Gemara says, okay, according to Mandam Eishes, we can understand a little bit why there was some issue here, maybe not letting the girl try to save this guy's life. But according to Mandam Pnuya, my coolie eye, if it's a pnuya, so what's the big deal? Let her talk to the guy. Like, what is the big deal? You don't talk to your next door neighbor who happens to be a pnuya. You can't talk to her. Like, what's the big deal? What are we letting this guy die for? So, okay, good question. No, it's a terrible embarrassment for this girl's family. It's a terrible embarrassment that this girl should be exposed and should be involved in such a situation. To this guy who is so immoral, so struck with love, and she went to try to save him. It's very compromising. It's a very embarrassing situation. That's the Gemara. And the Gemara. So let's see. So Shlomo Kluger, right? Shlomo Kluger, he's like a major Talmud Chacham, lived in the end of the 1800s. He wrote like a zillion books. He says, wait, what's going on here? Let's parse this situation. He's about to die. Pekuach nefesh. We know that we do anything to save someone. So what are we saying here? Why couldn't she at least talk to him? Should she even be able to live with him? At least talk to him. Oh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the family to be all over the tabloids. Oh, look at this. Man saved by girl talking to him. Oh, wonderful. True love. Something like that. It's very embarrassing. So what do you see from here? So Shlomo Kluger, you don't have to endure extreme embarrassment to save someone's life. All your money, yes. You got to give up all your money. So it's amazing how we look at it. All your money you got to give up. All your money to save someone's life. But embarrassment to this extremity, no, you don't have to. Right? It seems to be an open and shut raya, a good raya, that we do not have to endure at least very bad embarrassment in order not to be over the lav leisam darecha. Again, we could talk about other lavim, what about chazir and other things, but at least for what we're dealing with here, for the lav leisam darecha, for the lav of saving someone else's life, you don't have to endure extreme embarrassment. Okay. Moshe Feinstein says to Shlomo Kluger, you basically have no idea what you're talking about. He says you have no idea how to learn this Gemara, you're learning the Gemara totally wrong. It has nothing to do with that, you want to save his life, there's a mitzvah to save his life, but you don't have to sacrifice so much. Meaning, because Moshe Feinstein says, according to your analysis of this Gemara, it comes like this. If the girl and the family said, yeah, we want to save this guy, they could do it. It comes out, according to Shlomo Kluger, it's just a question of yeah, there's a mitzvah to save his life, it's a great mitzvah to save someone's life, but only at a certain expense. Not to your embarrassment. But let's say the family would say, no, we want to save this guy's life. We want to be embarrassed. It's worse for us to be embarrassed. So then they could do it. Why not? Why not? To save some life, you'll over all of theirs. It was just a question of a personal issue. A personal issue of making the family pay too much. It costs too much for the family to save this guy's life. Right? It costs too much embarrassment. But if they say they want, so they won't. So that's what comes out according to Shlomo Kluger. Right? Moshe Feinstein says it doesn't seem that way from the Gemara. It seems the Gemara that there was no option here. There was no option over here that if the family said it was okay, that she should stay.
No 3 times.
Right. And it seems that there was no option here that the family could say, oh, by the way, if you guys are nice, let her stand there, not close, or let her talk to the guy. Right?
To get married, why not?
The Gemara asked that question. The Gemara asked the question, what Shami says. So why don't you just get married already? The Gemara gives a famous answer. It's no. If he would get married to her, somehow or other, that wouldn't cure him. Because he wouldn't be
Marrying her for right reasons?
No, the marriage would not have satisfied him. It was this issue of the seductive issue of having access to her when they weren't married, right? Once you get married, the love goes down, right? And everything just Everything just goes down. So, anyway, but let's leave it at that. The Gemara asked Shimon's question, why did he just marry her? Fine. The bottom line is, so Moshe Feinstein, fine. So you want to say academically when Pshat is not right. So what is Pshat of the Gemara? He says a fascinating thing. He says, I'm getting the Gemara totally wrong. We know that the law is that if a guy puts a gun to your head and says to be over on one of the three cardinal sins, you don't give up your life, right? A guy says, "Eat chazer, I kill you." Eat the chazer. A guy says, the guy says, "Eat treifus or I kill you." Eat treifus. Any of the 610 averos. Again, we said the guy says, "Eat chazer or I'll take all your money." Then you got to give all your money. But your life goes first. But for Gilei Arayos, Shfichas Damim, and for Avodah Zarah, you got to give up your life. So someone's going to stop you and say, what does that mean? So you'll say, a guy puts a gun to your head and says, live with an Eish or live with your sister. That's classic Gilei Arayos. What's Gilei Arayos? Living with a relative or an Eish. Right? Fine. Let's say a guy puts a gun to your head and says, you don't have to live with the Eish. I won't kill you if all you do is hug her or touch her inappropriately. So what about there? So you're not being, if you live with an Eish or your sister, you chayiv krisis, you chayiv misa, just to touch her inappropriately, at the best it's allowed. At the best, loisikavu legalis erva, at the best it's allowed. So you would think, okay, I could touch her inappropriately, why not? Oh, but we know that the halacha is not that way. You kill yourself for Gilei Arayos, and for Avizarayu to Gilei Arayos. You kill yourself for Gilei Arayos, which is the actual act of living with a Eish or with a your relative, and anything that's a derivative of that, right? That is halacha, and the sources from this Gemara, by the way. The sources are actually from this Gemara. So okay, she said, okay, I got that. A guy says, put the gun again, live with the Eish, you got to kill yourself. The guy says, put a gun to your head, says, touch her Eish inappropriately, hug her, whatever it may be. You got to kill yourself. Okay. But what is the halacha if a guy puts a gun to your head and says to a kohen, live with a grusha? A kohen, live with a grusha. What will be the law? Should he live with a grusha or not? Guy says, either I kill you, kohen, or live with a grusha.
Same thing as
So the halacha is right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course you live with a grusha.
Yeah.
Living with a grusha is not a rayas.
Yeah.
Living with a grusha is not a rayas. Why would it be a rayas? It's not even a chayiv misa. It's not chayiv krisis. All right. Next, a guy puts a gun to your head. You better rape a girl, or I'll kill you. Rape a panuya, or I'll kill you. Or live with a panuya, I'll kill you. Of course you live with her. No question asked. Living with a panuya is not an erva. Neither the whole issue. I'm not going to get out. Living with a panuya, first of all, according to most Rishonim, it's not a avera at all. So I don't want to advertise that. But according to most Rishonim, it's not an avera. It's not an avera to live with a panuya. And even if it isn't a avera to live with a panuya, it's definitely not Gilei Arayos. It's definitely not Gilei Arayos to live with a panuya. It's a low-level lav, or maybe an essay at best. So of course, if a guy puts a gun to your head and says, live with the panuya, of course you live with the panuya. What's the question? It's only when it's the top-notch Gilei Arayos, which is krisis or misa, or any derivative of it, like hugging or whatever you're doing with the agents over there, touching her improperly, there you have to give up your life. This is a double passion. So says there, Moshe Feinstein, a major chiddush. In this case, even though we're talking about a panuya, but since this whole story is so egregious, it is so outrageous, this is considered like a v'zraya of the Gilei Arayos. Why? So why? Because what's the situation over here? The situation over here is this guy got so sick because of his lust, right? For a panuya. And we want the panuya to endure this terrible embarrassment, which is a pegam mishpacha, which puts a mar on the whole family. In this story, it's the major chiddush of Moshe Feinstein. Even though, in principle, you can live with the panuya. In principle, it could be because Moshe Feinstein there's no way to live with the panuya. But the whole story, if you take the whole thing, you take the whole picture, is so egregious. It is such outrageous. It has the same level of being immoral as living with an Eish. Now, I can't tell you what a bomb chiddush is. I cannot tell you what a bomb chiddush is. Because it comes, so says the Moshe, let's get it straight. Says the Moshe, if the guy puts a gun to his head and live with a penuya, definitely, live with the penuya. Definitely. Why? Because you're saving your life. You don't want to do it in the first place. You're not happy about it. Is the girl going to be terribly embarrassed if the guy puts a gun to his head and says rape a girl? The girl doesn't even know why you're doing it. Is it terribly embarrassing? It's terribly embarrassing. It's terrible. But, okay, it's not even much of an avera. Okay, the guy's making me do it. But here where you are sick with love, meaning you are so depraved and so immoral and so wanton, and you set up the situation, and you're going to cause such, so the Bekam Mishpacha is just a way to qualify how bad the situation that you created is. The situation is so bad that you're going to set up a Bekam Mishpacha in the issue of immorality. So you put the whole picture together. This is like Avodah Avodah Zarah. Now, the way Moshe, you can explain it a different way, but the way he explains it is like this. Why is it if you a guy puts a gun to his head, just hug an Ashish, just hug your hug your relative in the wrong way? But that's the best of love. That's not Gila, right? No. You'll say no, but it's a correlate, meaning it could lead. We look at anything that could lead to the actual act of living directly with Ashish. We all put that under the rubric of Gila. The act or anything that can lead to it. Says the Moshe, this, even though it's with a penuya, but it's such an abomination. It's basically condoning living with an Ashish. It's the same thing. It can lead if the community hears about this, or the person who's sick himself. If the rabbi saying this could be done, it's as if the rabbis it could lead very easily to living with an Ashish. You'll say, what are you talking about? This is a penuya. What are you talking about? What are you talking? No, but since the whole story is so outrageous and so egregious and so such a bad stench to it, so abominable, that we're making her stand there naked, and everyone's embarrassed just to save this guy who's sick himself. There's like Avodah Zarah Gilrais. It's like a major league chiddush of my shmaisim. So it comes now. I want to let's get it clear. If the guy says rape a girl, do it. No problem. Do it. It's a penuya. Go ahead. That's what you got to do. That's not Gilui right. Only in this case. Now, I want to make things clear here. It's not because we're blaming the guy per se. That's not the issue. We're blaming the sick guy, the guy who's struck with love. It's not because we're blaming him. That's not the issue. Because the halacha is someone committing suicide, you do everything you can to save him. You don't say a guy, right? We had a share about this. You don't say the guy's committing suicide, right? You don't say a guy's committing suicide, don't save him. Don't mechal shas a guy's committing suicide. It's his fault. You don't say that. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. What the?
You say the mental person.
Yeah, first of all, you say he's mentally not well, but even if he is mentally well, it doesn't make a difference. It's irrelevant. You have to save someone who has no right to give his life. There's this guy too. This guy who's lovesick, for all we know, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. And even it is his fault. So what? You always save someone's life no matter what. It doesn't make a difference what the reason is. A guy's a drug addict and he went ahead and, he took away too much. You don't save him because it's his fault? It's ridiculous, right? It's not the point of fault or not fault. That's not the issue here.
The issue is saving his life.
The issue is, if you look at the whole story, it has it's very immoral. It's extremely immoral. Even if it's not the guy's fault. Having her stand there to quench his lust, it's such an immoral story. It is equitable, it is equal, it's tantamount to Avodah Zarah Gilui. That's his point. That's the point. And just like for Avodah Zarah Gilui, you have to give your life. Even though here's a penuya, it's on the same level as Gilui. I cannot tell you how big of a chiddush this is. It's just like only a Moshe can say such a thing. I mean, it's something mind-boggling. To make a story of a penuya has the same thing as living with an Ashish because of the background of the story. And what's even more amazing, I don't want to say Derabanan Dikasfar. This can't be Derabanan Dikasfar. It has to be Deraisa because we're talking about letting someone die. So this sorrow is so strong, it's called a Deraisa sorrow. Right? You can say, your Rabbanan made believe it's like Ashish. The Rabbanan made believe it's like a Right. Yeah, as far as the Rabbanan may believe it's like a Rabbanan can't make believe it's about someone dying. So it means the Rabbanan, it's like you said, the Rabbanan didn't make believe. The Rabbanan, through their Svar, decided this is exactly like that. It's a major league chiddush. But he brings, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, he brings proofs to it from other places. This concept. Okay, so therefore, Reb Shlomo Kluger's raya, which seems face value to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a great raya. You can't knock this raya out. Ramesh Feinstein said, you're talking about, you're not learning the Gemara right. The Gemara has nothing to do with a question of saving someone's life. How much pain do I have to endure? Or how much embarrassment? The Gemara is actually talking about not letting him die because he's being over on one of the three cardinal sins. It's like a whole different sugya. Okay. But Ramesh does say, at the end of the day, he has a proof from somewhere else. He has a proof from somewhere else directly about our situation. Why? Because we all know the halacha is like this by Shabbos. Pay attention. Let's say there's a fire, God forbid, in your house. There's a fire. The halacha is you can't save your money. Do not save your money. And nothing to do with, even if the money is not muksa somehow or other, or even if you're not going to be carrying it out with Rishus Harabim, you cannot get involved in saving the money. Why? Because we're afraid if you're getting involved in saving the money, you're going to put out the fire. We're afraid that you're going to be so involved and so taken up that you're going to forget about Shabbos and you're just going to, by accident, put out the fire. Not on purpose. We're never afraid a person will purposely put out a fire to save his money. That we're not afraid of. But if we let you get involved in saving the money, you're going to be so distraught and so involved, maybe we'll put out the whole fire, maybe you'll see like a silver cup next to the fire, you'll do something to the fire like this. You may do something to put out the fire by accident. Okay, fine. That's an open halacha in Shulchan Aruch. But the Gemara says like this. Let's say you have a dead relative waiting for burial, and a fire breaks out where the dead relative happens to be situated.
Free burial.
So the halacha is, you could, even though a dead person is muksa, you could move the dead person. Move the dead person. Gemara says why? Because if we don't allow you to do that, you are wantonly going to intently, willingly take out the fire. You cannot endure you will not be able to endure the pain to see your dead relative being burned. So you hear the difference? By money, we say, you will never put out the fire on purpose. We're not afraid of you putting out the fire on purpose. We're not afraid about that. We're afraid by accident. So therefore, if you don't get involved at all, so then you won't put out the fire by accident. By your dead relative, by being cremated by accident, or being burned by accident, then we do the opposite. If we're not going to allow him to move it, even though it's Ayran Muksa, he'll do worse. He'll just put out the fire. He'll be so crazed with pain that his dead relative is going to be burned, he'll do it on purpose. So what do you see from here? What is worse on the scale? To lose all your money or to have a dead relative burned? We see clearly that to have your dead relative burned is considered a higher degree of pain. Because we're not worried about you putting out the fire for saving money. We're worried about you putting out your fire to save your dead relative. So says Moshe, we see from this Gemara quite clearly, seeing your dead relative being burned, being desecrated, being mutilated is an extremely painful thing for the live relatives. So says Moshe, if that's so, we're going to say that Lo Yisam Al Adam Re'echa is the same thing like every other lav. That's where he goes with that mahalach. Like I said, it's not so clear. That's where he goes. So every other lav, you got to give up all your money. But that's it. You got to give up all your money. Nothing more than that. Well, having your dead relative being burned is considered a higher pain, or it's considered a bigger expense than losing all your money. It's considered more painful, it's considered more intolerable. It's more suffering. So therefore, says Moshe like this. You have this dead guy. You could take out his limbs to save A is dead, he's dead, totally dead. You want to take out his limbs to give it to B, right? A big mitzvah, Pikuach Nefesh. Leisam Adam Re'echa. It's amazing. You can say B. Yeah, but you need the permission of the relatives. You must have the permission of the relatives because it's too much of an expense. Relatives would have to give all their money. relatives have to give all the money to save B, but they don't have to allow their dead person, their dead relative to be desecrated. That's too much of a cost. Just like we said, a person doesn't have to give up a limb to save B. A person has to give up all his money, but not a limb. A person doesn't have to allow his dead relative to be desecrated. So he says basically, Moshe says, forget the Gemara in Sanhedrin, but we do have at least a raya directly about this issue that desecrating a dead person or dead relative is considered a more higher level of pain than losing all your money. That's what he paskins. You need permission from the dead person, from the dead relative. Oh, now, wait a minute. The dead people say, the relatives say, we give permission. And Moshe says that the relatives should give permission. They should give permission. That's the right thing to do. Because just like you should donate a kidney, you don't have to, but it's the right thing to do. The relatives should give permission.
If a guy writes
But they don't have to.
doesn't want
You understand what's going on here?
Right,
I want to get to say that.
Yeah.
There's all Averis.
Something similar with the guy.
All Averis.
That's something with
But
the guy drowning.
you're hurting someone else. So hurting someone else, you can't hurt someone. How much could you hurt someone else to save B? So we're saying you could hurt someone else to give you can take all their money away. They got to give all the money, but not a limb, and not have their dead relative desecrated. That's very painful. But if they want to, they can give permission. If they want to, if they are altruistic or they have the right outlook, they should give the kidney, and let their relative be desecrated. What about the Aveira? There is no Aveira. That's not the issue anymore. There is no Aveira. When it comes to Bikuch Nefesh, we don't care about Aveiras. We just care about, it's a personal issue of the relatives. Well, if they want, they could say, we are willing to pay that expense in order for B to live. So Moshe very emphatically says they should give permission, but they don't have to. Oh, fine, very good, great. Now, but there's one person we forgot about here. The dead guy.
What if he writes in his will?
Does he have to give permission? Okay, so the relatives say, yeah, I want to give permission, we want to give permission. But what about the dead guy?
What if you were in the
Don't
will?
you need
Opposite.
Don't you need his permission? Well,
No, what if he writes he doesn't want to be
right?
desecrated?
So
Like Einstein.
so what about the dead guy? So seemingly, you need the dead guy's permission. Why? You're taking away a limb from him. You are mutilating him. You are not giving him burial. So seemingly you need the dead guy's permission. So what are you going to say? Oh no. Okay, you know what? The dead guy, he'd like to have his arm probably buried with him, and it's a little bit, but it's not such a big deal. It's not like a live guy losing a limb. It's like, so you say, listen, dead guy, it's not just a big deal for you to give up to save someone else's life. It's not just a big deal for you. You say, the dead guy says, wait 1 minute. I have no mitzvah to save him. There's no mitzvah on dead people to do mitzvahs. When's the last time you saw a dead guy sitting in a sukkah and eating? Right? You don't see. When was the last time you saw a dead guy eating matzah? Dead guys, right? Good. Dead guys have no mitzvah, right? Dead guys are mason chashiv mitzvah. So let's make believe the dead guy is talking. The dead guy says, "Hey, you want to save B? Okay, I understand. Pikuch Nefesh is doicha, all Pikuch Nefesh is doicha, everything. But why should I, the dead guy, save him?" Oh, a dead guy, you have a mitzvah to save him. It's an open law in the Torah. So you'll say, the dead guy says, I don't got to keep mitzvahs. What are you talking about? I don't got to keep mitzvahs.
Maybe he does.
So how could you take my limb and give it to him? Why do I have to lose my limb for him? Oh, you have obligation? You have mitzvahs? It's no worth than losing all your money? Or I don't have any mitzvahs.
Or money.
So, if the dead guy would have given permission before he died, like the doctor mentioned, so okay, fine. But let's say the dead guy has no donor card. He didn't give any permission. So the dead guy has rights, and you have no right to infringe on the dead guy's rights, right? Are you following this? I'm trying to get this clear. It's not a question of an aveira. All aveiras. But who says that the dead guy has to? Who says the dead guy has to pay for? Has to save him? Who says you could personally take something for the dead guy? The dead guy has a mitzvah. He has no mitzvahs. And so Paskins, the famous Binyan Sian, the famous Aruch Laner, says you better not touch the dead guy. Even if the relatives give permission, it's not enough. You need permission from the dead guy. And if before he died he did not give permission, you cannot take his organ. You cannot take his organ because you're stealing from the dead guy. You're stealing from the dead guy, right? For example, pashtus. Let's say you need a life-saving surgery, and the katan who has money. Seemingly pashtus, you can't take the money from the katan. He has no mitzvah, so you can't take the money. Why should you take the money? What do you mean? This doicha. Yeah, every avera. But what do they got to do with stealing from him? What do they got to do? What is his responsibility to save your life? You got to save you got to save everyone? No. So adult does have a responsibility. Adult has a responsibility. That's right. He has a responsibility. So you can take all his money. There's a whole shiloh if adult's not here. I don't want to get involved. Whole shiloh. A guy is about to die. Could he break into a pharmacy to take medicine? We paskin yes. Why? Well, I gotta live. What do you mean? But what are they stealing from him? No, the owner of the pharmacy really has to save you too. Right? So there's a whole shiloh about that. There's a whole shiloh about that, but that's basically what we paskin. You could break into a pharmacy, if you're about to die and you need whatever, an EpiPen or something like that, you could break into the pharmacy because you gotta live. It's doicha all averas. You're infringing on him. No, he also has an obligation. But if you talk about a cotton, then seemingly you would have no right to take anything from the cotton. And the mace is no less than the cotton. The mace is no less than the cotton, right?
Cotton will have a chiyuv. Mace is dead.
Okay, so you're making it even worse. Okay, fine. We can discuss that. But But this is not the halacha. The halacha is that you only need permission from the relatives. But Moshe did not mention one thing about needing permission from the dead guy. The question is why not? Why not? What the Binyan Sian says is infallible. It seems to be a pretty good asar.
And what right do the relatives have?
To what?
To say yes or no?
Well, that's really the question. That's the question. Maybe they don't have.
Why not his Rabbi? Why not?
No, the issue is that the relatives are the ones who incur the embarrassment. So if they give permission, they say, we are willing to take the embarrassment.
What about once your body?
Some random stranger is not embarrassed, so it has no relevance to
I know
him.
his friend.
Okay. We always look at it, the relatives are the one. You can ask the question, which relative? Third cousin, 5 times removed? That's a good question. What is the relative exactly? Maybe.
What about
I don't know. I really don't know. I'd have to look at that. That's a great question. Yerush relatives. There are a lot of Yerush relatives. So why is the Binyan Sian? Why could we say again? When I say the halacha is not a Binyan Sian, I mean some people don't pass like him. It doesn't seem that Moshe deals with the Binyan Sian, and I'm sure he knew about it. It's very famous Binyan Sian. There are 2 ways to answer. There's 3 ways to answer this issue. I won't go to the second way; it's too difficult. The first way is, halachically speaking, does the dead guy have rights? Is it true halachically speaking, that when I take a limb from a dead guy, it's called I stole from him. It's called I embarrassed him. It's called I mutilated him. Maybe Kabbalistically, we could look at it that the dead guy is really upset upstairs. You know, that you took his limb and you mutilated him and bezayin and who knows what's going on up there. But strict halacha, there's a strong start to say you don't have to reckon with the dead guy. You don't say, okay, Pekuach Nefesh is doiche everything, but you're infringing on the dead guy's rights. You're taking away from the dead guy, and he has no obligation. So if he has no obligation, if he didn't give permission, what are you doing? You're stealing from the dead guy. It could be halachically you don't look at the dead guy as an owner of anything. You don't look at it, you stole his limb, or you mutilated him. It's only this halacha that you can't steal a limb is all but adam lemakim. It's all about doing a avera against God. It's all about doing a avera against the relatives. But we never look at a dead guy as someone who has any rights at all. Dead people have no rights. They have no ownership, and they have no rights, not even on their body, so you never have to reckon with the dead guy. So let's go again. B needs a heart. B needs a kidney. He needs it. All there is. Yeah, but other people don't gotta suffer. No. The relatives would have to suffer all the money. Okay, but it's more than money. That's right, you need their permission. What about the dead guy? The dead guy, he's not here. We don't have to deal with the dead guy, his rights, and taking away from the dead guy. We don't look at him as a bar Davi or a Baal Din here. Now, again, Kabbalistically, it's definitely not that way. But maybe strict halachically, that's the way you would look at it. That's one way out of it. Another way out of it is the contrary. We say the dead guy, even if we didn't give permission, for sure he wants. For sure he wants. He's up in the Olam HaEmes. He knows that this is the best thing possible for him. He knows there is nothing more noble than his being mutilated to help this be. Doesn't get mitzvah points, but somehow or other you could say he's still alive a little bit, he's still living on, some type of continuity. Or he knows that's what God wants. He knows that that's what God wants. Because that is true, that is what God wants. So the dead guy, we can for sure assume he wants to give permission. It's only the relatives who are alive, and they are having this terrible emotional distress of seeing their dead relative taking away an organ and putting in someone else. The whole thing seems a little bit distasteful maybe to them. It's only the relatives. Are we holding?
26.
Oh. It's only the relatives that we have to reckon with, because they could say, "Listen, it's too emotionally distressful for us." So the Serpshat is saying that the dead guy has rights, but we know what he would say. We would know he would give permission, right? My father-in-law always talks about the democracy of the dead. It's some poet. He talks about, oh, look, 80% of the Jews are not religious today. So clearly, most people are not religious nowadays. 80% of the Jews are not religious. So clearly, us from Jews have been voted down. So the concept of democracy of dead. Yeah, but take into account all the Jews that lived through all the generations. Most of them were religious. So you got to take their votes into account too. Just because they're dead doesn't mean you don't take their votes into account. That's called the democracy of dead. So if you take all the Jews together in the span of all history, more Jews voted to being religious, to being Orthodox, than Jews that didn't. So here too, yeah, the dead guy has rights. Democracy, he has rights. It's called stealing him. But we know, according to this Mahalach, we know that he would be happy to volunteer. Oh, right. So, Rabbi Sai, we're going to stop over here because the next thing is going to take way too long. So Rabbi Sai seems to have much paskins. You need permission from the relatives. You don't need permission from the dead guy himself. There is a questionable situation where the relatives are not there. We said we could assume the relatives are not there. Some guy's dead. A died. He's dead. But you need his kidney. B needs the kidney right away. You can't find the relatives. Do we say, even though we say you need the permission of a relative, that's only if there's that's a good question. That's a great question. Who would be the relative? Any?
Ger who dies with no relative.
Right, Ger does no relatives. I don't know. I have to think about it. Who's the relative? Is the one who's going to get? Oh, really? So, let's say there are. Let's say there's sons and daughters. You don't need permission from the daughter because they're not getting the Yerusha. I would assume that. I presume the B'zayin Hames has to do not only with the Yerusha. It has to do. No, it can't be. I don't know. It can't be third cousin 10 times removed. I don't know. I presume it would be the first level, his progeny, and maybe his wife. I don't know. That's a great question. What about his father? I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is. So, be it as it may, that would be the big shiloh. The big shiloh would be if the relatives can't be contacted right away. Can we assume that they would give permission because that's what they're supposed to do? Again, they could definitely say they don't want to give permission. They could definitely say they don't want to give permission. But if they're not here, and if they're here, you definitely have to ask. But if they're not here, can we make an assumption that Ramosha was not too sure about how to go in that situation? Okay, everybody, so we'll stop over here. B'li Neder, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And like I said, I got a couple more shiurim on this, but I think enough is enough. Hopefully we'll talk about next time about get coercion, divorce coercion. I would like to look into that a little bit.
Nice.
Okay, everybody, so we'll stop over here.